welcome. I cannot believe it is that time again where the team is ready to take you on a journey, and by golly, what a wonderful journey it's going to be today. Hello, I'm Paul Rotherham, and welcome to this, another edition of our Coaching Hour podcast, brought to you in proud partnership with Coaches Network South Africa. As you know, the core team in the form of Mareka, Mary, and myself bring you what we hope to be informative and entertaining podcasts. And now there's video as well, because we're doing this from our respective homes via Zoom. I'm going to hand over the baton of introduction to Mareka, because this week we have an incredible guest lined up for you, someone who we have been really excited about having as part of this show for many, many months. Mareka, over to you.
Good. Thank you so much, Paul. Yes, today we have a very special, legendary guest, and we have Robin Banks this morning, and we are very excited. Robin is one of the world's leading authorities in the subject of mind, power, and personal mastery. And actually, he's an icon in our world. Our world meaning myself and Mary has been coaching individuals, in the personal development space for quite some years. So for us, Robin, you are quite a legend. So we are very excited to talk to you this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So today we're talking about the power behind mind power. And just to share a personal quick story, mind power actually saved my business and my life, I would say, in lockdown. Because after months of not receiving any income, really getting, depressed, about the situation, a friend of mine and myself started Mind Power. And consistently, not always easy, but for 7 weeks on end, 7 days a week, we applied Mind Power. And then after the 6th week, things started shifting. And the year after that was actually the best business year of my life. So it was very awesome.
Thank you. That makes my heart pitter-patter with joy, because mind power works. I know it does, but it's always great to hear the feedback.
Yes. And tell us a bit about mind power for those who have not ever heard about it. What is mind power?
Sure, absolutely. So, in fact, I first read the book in 1996. So, geez, how long ago is that? That's 27 years ago. A friend of mine gave me a copy, and she said, Robin, you're a very positive guy. I think you'll really enjoy reading this book. But little did you know that at the time I was not the world's best reader. Ek was baie lui verlees. And usually if somebody gave me a book to read, I'd be like, isn't there a movie? But I'm happy to say that now I read 2 books a month. But to be honest with you, Mareka, I don't read. I listen on Audible. Audible has been a game changer for those of you who are lazy to read like me. I work out and listen to books. I go through 2 books a month, and it's Audible's been a game changer. But in 1996, there was no Audible. But I actually read this book. And as a result of reading it, I didn't just read it, because the one thing we teach in Mind Power is, the saying that knowledge is power. Well, that's not true. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Applied knowledge is power. And the key principles behind Mind Power is that in order to bring about desired changes in your life, as you just said, Mareka, you need to work for it. You need to train the mind. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is that if you think about your favorite athlete, whether it be Lionel Messi or Usain Bolt, whoever's a great, let's go with Usain Bolt because he's a legend. And imagine if he had to say, guys, I've decided I'm going to stop training. I'm just going to show up and compete. Would he still be the best? The answer is no. What makes him the best is that he trains every day. And my question is, do we train every day to be outstanding? And I think the question for most people is no. We don't train every day. We wake up in the morning and we vie, and we're like, oh, I hope it's going to be a great day today. But in Mind Power, we train every day. We train our minds every day to think the thoughts we want them to think. We feed our minds the thoughts we want them to produce. So the fundamental essence behind Mind Power, Mareka, is that I'll give you an analogy, because the mind loves analogy. Think of your mind as a garden of rich, fertile soil. Any seed that you sow into rich, fertile soil, if you nourish and care for the seed, there's no question it will grow. And the soil doesn't care what seeds you sow, whether you put tomatoes, carrots, weeds, tulips, potatoes, pears, apples. The soil will produce whatever you ask of it. Weeds, Onkruid. The soil doesn't care. Its job is to grow things. Its job is to produce results. Its job is to give you the harvest. And the same is true of your mind. Your mind really doesn't care what thoughts you think. Your mind doesn't care whether you focus on happiness, success, abundance, gratitude, joy, love, appreciation, anxiety, fear, worry, depression, bitterness, anger, resentment. Your mind doesn't care what thoughts you think. Your mind will produce whatever you focus on. So the number one principle in mind power is to sow the seeds of what it is you'd like to harvest in your life. And as you so beautifully said, you did the program and over 7 weeks, and you started noticing the changes after a while, because you don't plant a seed today and expect a tree to grow tomorrow. So what happens for a lot of people is they do mind power exercises for a day and they go, but I haven't seen any change. Well, you don't go to the gym today and tomorrow you fit. You got to go to the gym for 3 months and then you'll see some massive change. The same is true of the mind. The more you train it, the more you discipline it, I guarantee you will see results. And the most beautiful part, Mareka, is that the story you've told me, I hear every day. People come up to me all the time telling me how mind power has changed their lives. I wish I could take the credit, but it's not me. It's John Keogh's teachings. It's you applying them, and mind power works. So that's the fundamental essence behind mind power, is learning to control and direct your thoughts, learning to control your mind and get your mind to think about what it is you want to think, because your mind wants leadership. Your mind wants to be told what to think. It wants direction. And your job is to direct and control your thoughts.
It's such a lovely analogy. And I'm thrilled that you chose to go down that road of explaining it as this garden filled with fertile soil, and literally whatever seed you plant will grow, Robin. If you look at today's life, if I look around, even in my own life to some extent, if I look at friends, colleagues, people in my circle, that garden is being massively polluted. It's social media negativity. It's constant negative messaging from all sorts of sources around us. How do we go about controlling that? Because it's almost like we need a filter to some extent to protect us, a nice fence around this garden to protect us from all the nasties, because we don't want the weeds. We want a beautiful, nurtured garden with plants. I mean, not that weeds aren't plants, but you get the analogy.
I get the point. I love that analogy of the fence. I think I'll steal that, Paul. Thank you for that. That's a great analogy. But yeah, the world is filled with negativity right now. Make no mistake about it. Just to speak about that for a moment, we are going through a massive evolution in consciousness on the planet. And I think we are evolving to a higher state of being. So what it means is that everything is up for question. And the old way of being is obsolete, and we are giving birth to a new way of being. And giving birth is painful, it's bloody, it's uncomfortable, and it's not a joyful experience. But change is not a force to be feared, it's an opportunity to be seized. So during these times of change, there is an opportunity to recreate and reinvent yourself, to look at the parts of yourself that are not working, to look at the parts of yourself that are sabotaging you, and then to literally recreate and reinvent yourself. And we do that by using the mind power techniques. But coming back to your question, the one thing I always say to people is, news means negative energy with suffering. That's what news stands for. Because the whole point is they want to, there's a saying in the media, if it bleeds, it leads. So they actually look for the worst, most gory stories to feed you, because unfortunately, as human beings, we love feeding on the most gruesome, horrific stories. The more horrific, the more attention it gets. And so that is a true statement. It is known in the media, if it bleeds, it leads. The more gory, the more attention. So here's what I say to my students. I am not saying you shouldn't watch the news. I am not saying don't be aware of what's happening in the world, because I do think it's important to be conscious and aware of what is going on around you. So you do need to be informed, but you don't need to be inundated. And what do I mean by inundated is that I listen to the news, I'd say let me be honest with you, 2 or 3 times a week, I'll tune in and I'll go, okay, what's happening in global affairs? What's happening in politics? I travel a lot. So when I go to different countries, I kind of want to know what's happening and, who's the president and stuff like that. So it's good to be informed. But if you actually watch the news repeatedly every day, it's just the same story on repeat. So get a feel for it, be aware of what's going on, but then most importantly, you need to feed your mind the thoughts you want it to think. So it's good to be aware, but you don't want to be overwhelmed because the overwhelm will kill you. So here's one of the secrets. Any garden, if you prepare a beautiful garden with rich, fertile soil and you're about to create a flower garden or a vegetable garden, the first thing you need to do before you can sow the seeds of the flowers you want to produce or the vegetables you want to create, what's the first thing you need to do? First, you take out the weeds. You can't sow seeds into a garden that is full of weeds. So the most important thing is you need to clear the clutter. So one of the techniques we teach in Mind Power is called weeding negatives. We all have negative beliefs from our upbringing, from our childhood, and we need to find out what programs, what faulty programs we have that are running in the background. Because like your computer has programs running in the background, if the program is not working, every time you install a new program, what the computer automatically does is it uninstalls the old program and then it installs the new one. So the same is true with Mind Power. It's pointless installing a new belief system on top of an old belief system. You want to uninstall the old belief before you can install the new one. So being conscious of the people you surround yourself with, what's the quality of the language that they use? And I can tell someone's state of consciousness just by listening to their conversation. Victims focus on accusation, blame, and complaint. The reason I'm not happy, it's load shedding, which is understandable, by the way. But if you keep focusing on the things that make you unhappy, you will be miserable. Because there's a lot of opportunity for misery in this planet right now. There's a lot of opportunity for misery in our country, South Africa. There's a lot of negativity. So coming back to your question again, there's a lot of negative stuff happening, but there's a lot of positive stuff too. So again, what it is, it's about training and disciplining yourself. I don't want to focus on that right now. So here's a recommendation for those of you who are interested. Why don't you go on a negative thought diet for the next week? Like just for the next week, you are not allowed to entertain any negative thoughts. So what that means is you can't watch the news because you know it's negative energy with suffering. And if you're having a conversation with a friend and someone starts focusing, oh, did you see what happened, in such and such? And so, I'm so sorry, I can't talk about that right now. I'm on a negative thought diet. Maybe, chat to me next week because I'll be over with my diet and we can talk about that again. Because kind of what it makes you realize is you are not allowed to feed your mind negative thoughts. You can't. You're on a negative thought diet. And a lot of people have said that has been such a great thing just to be aware, oh, I'm sorry, I can't think about that. I'm on a negative thought diet. So again, what it comes back to is sharpening your focus. And what I mean by sharpening your focus, if you think about it, if I told you a magnifying glass can burn a hole in somebody's hand, and I take Marika outside, it's a beautiful day today in Johannesburg, the sun is shining, I take a magnifying glass, I hold you by the hand, Marika, and I start moving all across her hand. Is she going to experience any pain? No, because I'm not focused. But if I have to focus on one spot, without a doubt, within a few seconds, she will experience an incredible amount of pain. If I hold the magnifying glass still for long enough, it'll eventually burn a hole straight through her hand. And that's a fact because the sun's rays are incredibly powerful when you focus them. The same is true of your mind. What you focus on, you feel, and what you focus on, you experience, and what you focus on, you attract. So if we keep focusing on all the problems, I'm not saying they're not there. I'm just saying if you keep feeding them negative energy, you feel depressed, you feel flat, you feel low. And I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not going to say I'm immune to this. I teach this. And I must be honest, sometimes when I see the impact of load shedding and what it's doing to our country, it does affect me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say, oh, no, it's all fine. But my question is, what am I going to do about it? Always the question comes to me is like, okay, so this is what's happening right now, but how can I focus my energy in a creative and positive way? And all I can do is focus on doing what I can, but to worry about things you can't change literally sucks and drains your energy. So, there's something called Paul, you need to know something about me. You ask me a question, I'll speak for 5 hours, so I'm almost done. But there's something called the sphere of influence. It's from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what your sphere of influence is there's what is it again? There's the sphere of influence and there's the sphere of concern. So the sphere, I'm trying to make 2 balls, but the sphere of concern is much bigger than the sphere of influence. So the sphere of concern are the things that we worry about, like load shedding, unemployment, the global climate change, the war in Ukraine. So the sphere of concern are all the things that you worry about. The sphere of influence are the things that you can influence and control. Most people focus their energy on the sphere of concern. They worry about things that they can't do anything about, which is absolutely pointless. It just makes you depressed. But what you should learn to do is sharpen your focus and focus on the things you can influence. So what can I do? Well, I can't do anything directly about load shedding, but I can speak to my people and inspire them to change their mindset about it. And I know that I guarantee you, and I'm prepared, we are on record. I guarantee you that this too shall come to pass. When? I don't know. But I am extremely confident that one day load shedding will look back at it and go, do you remember those days? Oh my gosh. Do you know that England went through load shedding? England went through load shedding. If you watch the movie The Crown, they had a period where they went through load shedding. So I think what happens is we start thinking it's always going to be like this and makes us feel depressed. So really, just to come back to answering your question, there is a lot of negativity, but what you focus on, you experience. So the important thing is to sharpen your focus and focus on the things that matter.
Now, Robin, how did mind power play a role in your success? How did it change life for you?
Mind power, yeah, I love mind power because it's not mine. So because it's not mine, I can speak highly of it, and it doesn't sound like I'm bragging. But I read the book in May in 1996, and I read it 10 times because I really felt like, wow, this book gives you such practical steps. And then what happened is in May 1999, that's 24 years ago, almost to the month, John Keogh, the author of the book, came to South Africa. I was living in Cape Town at the time, and he presented his Mind Power course. Now, in those days, the Mind Power course was once a week for 4 weeks in a row. And the reason why it's once a week for 4 weeks in a row is that we ask everybody who attends the sessions, as you know, Marika, don't only listen to me speak about mind power, because knowledge is not power. You need to do 30 minutes of mind power training every day. We need to train and become an athlete of the mind, mentally fit, sharp, focused, ready to lead your life. So I did the Mind Power course in May 1999. I actually borrowed money to do the course because I knew that the book was such a game changer for me. I knew that if I did the course, it would make an impact. And I swear what I'm about to tell you is 100% true. The very next month, my business quadrupled in turnover. And quadruple was so beyond my wildest expectation. I couldn't believe I quadrupled my turnover in 1 month. I was like, are you kidding me? And as a result of that, I became addicted because I thought, jeepers, this stuff is amazing. And so as a result of doing Mind Power as a student, I became an avid practitioner. I practiced Mind Power every day. I started my own business 6 months later. My business continued to soar and grow. And in 2003, John Keogh gave me the rights to run his program. And I've been doing so for the last 20 years, running the program. And it's been a huge, huge gift for me. And as I said to you, the most rewarding part of the program is just hearing people's results, because in Mind Power, we want results. I want to see change. I guarantee you change. If you do the work, there's no way you can go to the gym for 30 minutes a day for 30 days in a row and work out without getting fitter. You can't. If you work out, you will get fitter. It's a fact. It's just impossible not to. The same is true of the mind. There's no way you can train and discipline your mind for 30 minutes a day without becoming mentally fitter. And as you've just said, Mareka, within 6 weeks, you started noticing massive change. So the cool thing is we have the power to create our lives and to shape our destinies. We just don't know how. So for me, Mind Power was a very practical, simple guide as to how you can learn to control and direct your thoughts in order to control and direct your circumstances.
And one of the principles is thoughts are real forces. And that stuck with me. Because sometimes, it's stuff that happens almost magically. Whenever you put your focus and attention and doing those exercises in Mind Power, what's happening in the background, if I can call it that, when you apply Mind Power daily?
Beautiful. So yeah, there's 7 laws of the mind, because everything is governed by laws. And the mind is governed by laws. Nothing happens by chance. There is no such thing as chance or happenstance or coincidence in my belief system. That not you are literally creating the life you're living. People don't like it when I say this, but actually, if you think about what I'm about to say, it's the most powerful, empowering thing. Your life is the way it is because of you. You are the creator of your life, and you're either consciously creating your life or you're unconsciously reacting to it. In Mind Power, we invite you to become the conscious creator of your circumstances. So thoughts are real forces basically means that literally your thoughts are forces of energy. And just as right now, as I'm speaking to you, we're in different parts of the country, different parts. You can be all over the world. How is it possible that you and I can have this conversation? And it's literally like we are in the same room, because right now, as I'm speaking to you, my image is converted into a digital code called the binary code, made up of ones and zeros. It goes into the camera. It goes through what we call in Mind Power, the energy web. Quantum physics calls it the quantum vacuum, which basically means there's energy all around us. And because we plugged into the same frequency, it gets to your computer. That digital code of ones and zeros is created. It comes up on your screen and shows my image literally as I'm moving. I mean, it is mind-blowing. If you think about technology, that everything is made up of energy and vibration. Everything is energy. And so the world is not as we see it to be. There is energy frequencies behind everything. And that's why when you speak to somebody on a phone, I mean, I can dial somebody's number in China. How does my voice go into this device and come out of his device? I mean, it's crazy. My voice is converted into a digital code made up of ones and zeros. It goes into the phone, to the nearest beacon, to a satellite, to a beacon in China. And when it gets to his phone, that digital code of ones and zeros is converted back into my voice. So all I'm trying to say is everything is made up of energy. If you want to listen to your favorite radio station, Highveld Stereo has a frequency, 94.7. And if you're driving in your car and you tune into 94.7 in the Johannesburg area, you will get Highveld Stereo. It's guaranteed. It's a frequency. You can plug into it. So everything is energy. Your thoughts are real forces of energy. Your thoughts are frequencies that you send out, literally, like this thing sends out a signal. When you think a thought, you literally send a frequency out into, as I said, we call it the energy web, because there's a web of energy that surrounds everything, and you are connected to everything, and everything is connected to you. We seems like we're separate, but nothing is separate. Everything is connected to everything. So as I think a thought, my thoughts are real forces, and the quality of the frequency of the thought that I think determines what I'm going to attract. So have you noticed when you're having a bad day, I mean, everything goes wrong. But when you're having a bad day, your thought vibrational frequencies tend to be very negative and heavy and down. When you're having a great day, or when you're in love, I mean, when you're in love, everything is wonderful. I mean, like you come outside, oh no, it's raining. Oh, I love the rain, Mareka. It's so beautiful. Someone smashed your car. It's fine. Who cares? Love is what it's about. Because when you're in love, everything is wonderful. The colors are brighter and everything's fabulous. Why? Because you're putting off a different frequency. So you literally have a vibration. And the analogy I'd like to give you is think of yourself as a magnet, in the sense that whatever energy you are putting out determines what you are attracting. So if you don't like the circumstances and situations you find yourself in, if you don't like the things that are happening in your life, stop blaming other people, stop blaming the economy and blaming the government and blaming COVID or blaming, and recognize that nothing happens by chance. You have a frequency. So if you don't like what's happening to you, change your frequency. But how do I change my frequency? Change your thoughts. How? From the moment you wake up in the morning, become conscious. What is the first thought you think? What is the frequencies that you're sending out? So when we say that thoughts are real forces, you can't see them, but you can feel the impact of them. One of the most profound examples, you would know that one of the things we do in Mind Power is we contemplate. Contemplate means you think deeply on something and wonder what it means, and you meditate upon it. And I asked a group once, what do you think it means that thoughts are real forces? And I let them contemplate for about 5 minutes. And I'll never forget that a 16-year-old boy I said, so what insights did you get? And this young boy, 16 years old, and he says, well, I was thinking that my thoughts are like the wind, because you can't see the wind. You can't see what wind looks like, but you can see the impact of what wind looks like. And sometimes my thoughts can be very destructive, like a hurricane or a tornado, where it can create chaos and it can be very destructive. And sometimes my thoughts can be like a cool breeze on a hot days, where my thoughts are just so calming and relaxing. And I thought, what a profound analogy for a 16-year-old boy to come up with. So your thoughts are real forces, just like the wind is a real force. You can't see the wind. You can see the impact, but wind is invisible. Thoughts are invisible. You can't see them. But literally every single time you think a thought, you send a frequency out, and that has an impact.
And it all starts with becoming conscious. I mean, you can't change anything that you're not aware of. So if you could give advice to someone, that's listening and really being stuck, in their negative mindset or negative thought loops, what advice would you give them?
Great question. So the first thing you need to do is become aware. Don't judge yourself. Now, here's the tricky thing, because what we tend to do as human beings is when we see something about ourselves we don't like, we tend to criticize ourselves, and we're like, oh, but what's wrong with me? It's like, Jesus, man, what's my problem? That's the worst thing you can do. There's a great quote that says, if you had a best friend who spoke to you the way you sometimes speak to yourself, would they still be your best friend? And I think for many of us, the answer is no, because, geez, we can be so critical. We can be so hard on ourselves. And so here's a tricky thing. When you observe your thoughts, almost observe it like you're looking at another person. Don't judge, don't condemn, don't criticize, observe. So become aware of how you're thinking. And as you start doing this technique, it's a technique called self-observation. And self-observation is several times during the course of the day. Set your alarm to go off every hour. And when your alarm goes off, you ask yourself, what have I just been thinking about for the last few minutes? And you just examine your thoughts and see what is your habitual ways of thinking. Now, if you're finding yourself in a rut and things just seem to be going wrong all the time, I promise you are not thinking thoughts of gratitude. You are not focusing on how blessed you are. I promise you your thought process is negative. How do I know? Because that's your experience. And your outer world will always accurately reflect the state of your consciousness. Your life is a reflection of the state of your consciousness. So if you don't like what's happening in your external environment, change the internal environment. So if you're not happy with your circumstances, don't try and change the circumstance, change what's creating the circumstance. You creating it with the thoughts you think. So how do you change it? Observe your mind and just see, okay, what am I thinking about right now? And when you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, again, I'm going to say it one more time. Don't criticize yourself. What's wrong with me? Oh, man. Because, if you're stalking an animal Let's just say we out in the bush and we bird watching or animal watching, and there's a beautiful deer. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at that deer. And I'm like, hey, Paul, come see this deer. There's a beautiful. Oh, it was here. Where did it go? I mean, I swear there was a deer here. Of course, the deer's gone. You scared it away. So in the same way, if you're going to master yourself, don't judge yourself for who you are. Because if you judge yourself for who you are, then yourself is going to run away and go back into shadow. So you want to bring it out into the light, and you're going to go, oh, look at the way he's thinking. Wow. Geez, that's very interesting. I wasn't aware how much negative thinking he has. This is good to know. And then you also observe, like, oh, I remember when he did this last time, it didn't go so well. I wonder if he's going to do it again. Oh, there he does it again. Wow. And so you observe yourself, because just know that change is a process. There's a beautiful book, and I actually don't know. I think it's called The Book of Change. I can't remember, but I want to share it with you because I love it. In the book, it says, chapter 1, I walk down a road. There's a hole in the road. I fall into the hole. It takes me an hour to get out of the hole. Chapter 2, I walk down a road. There's a hole in the road. I see the hole. I fall into the hole again. It takes me half an hour to get out of the hole. Chapter 3, I walk down a road. There's a hole in the road. I see the hole. I fall into it again. Takes me 15 minutes to get out of the hole. Chapter 4, I walk down a road. There's a hole in the road. I see the hole. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down a different road. So what I love about that story is be patient. Don't be in a hurry. Just know that mastering yourself is a lifelong journey that you'll never finally accomplish. You're constantly working towards improving and mastering yourself. I've been studying personal mastery for, what am I, 53 now? So I've been studying personal mastery since I was probably 18. I've been studying personal mastery for 35 years. And still, I find myself behaving sometimes in ways that I kind of go, really? I thought you'd know better by now, Mr. Mind Power. But learning to love yourself exactly the way you are is one of the greatest gifts in life, because you'll never be perfect. So when people say, I'm trying to do it perfectly, perfection sucks. You're never going to be perfect. So it's the lowest standard you can aim for. Don't try and be perfect. Be outstanding. And outstanding means you give your best no matter what. So coming back to your question, Mareka, how do you master yourself? Observe yourself. Catch your mind thinking thoughts and just go, oh, I need to be very conscious not to think those thoughts anymore. And then what you start doing is you start saying the exact opposite. So if your mind says something to you like, you'll never make enough money. Oh, yeah, money is flowing to me in oceans of abundance. I'll never find the right partner. There just aren't enough good men out there. I am now attracting an ideal partner to me. You won't believe how many people attract their ideal partners. I had a woman in one of my seminars last night tell me that as a result of doing my programs, she has met the man of her dreams. They're married, and she's so in love, and she's tripled her income.
Yeah,
wonderful. Love hearing that. And again, people say, thank you, Robin. I'm like, no, actually, don't thank me. I'm just teaching you something else somebody taught me. So it's all about practicing it. There's nothing profound about it. The thing I love about Mind Power, it's so easy. I've had 10-year-olds do it. It's just to do it.
I think that's the challenge. I mean, it's actually so simple. It's just to stay consistent. I've been talking to my friend this morning, and I want to start the entire process once again from scratch. But it's just to stay consistent, and it's actually effortless. But why we make it so difficult, or the mind makes it seem so difficult, I don't know why.
Because look, it's habitual programming, and it's about the community you surround yourself with. So one of the reasons why I encourage people to surround yourself with people to help you raise your consciousness. You want to be surrounded by people who inspire you. What I love about my team, I have an amazing team of people, and we are all committed to the journey of personal growth. So that's one of the things. But the key to long-term success is consistency. because if you can be consistent, it becomes a habit. So for me, I can't shower without doing mind power. I can't. It's a habit. So literally, as I switch on the tap, because I've been doing it for so many years, as I open this tap opens. And I'll start saying my mantras. 2023, the year of a new me. I'm focused, present, and strong. I live in the zone all day long. I am healthy, vibrant, and lean. I love and take care of my being. I've got my mind on my money. I've got my money on my mind. I'm here for a purpose. I serve all of humankind. I'm a top international speaker, successful throughout this planet. I am brilliant and I am bright. I'm a radiant being of light. I'm an outstanding peak performer. I'm a dynamic life transformer. So as you can tell, I know some are going, Robin, that's a mouthful. But I say it every day. I say it at least 5 or 10 times in the shower while I'm showering. So there's certain things you can do. So how do you make it easy to be consistent, Marika? Build it into other things that you do. So shower and empower. That's what I call that. While I'm working out, while I'm doing my stretches, I listen to an affirmation CD, and it's a habit. So if you can have a daily ritual while I'm having my morning tea, I love spending about 10 minutes contemplating and visualizing my day going well. So the best way to make it a habit is to build it into a daily routine. And as a Mind Power graduate, you need 10, 20 minutes a day. It's really the key to long-term success is consistency. And what happens is once you've been doing it for a period, it's kind of like you're not going to forget to put your pants on in the morning. It's like, that's something you do. So for me, not doing Mind Power it feels weird if I don't do Mind Power. My day feels wrong, like something's not right here, because it really is about creating habits. So the key, as you said, is consistency, because doing it once doesn't produce long-term change. The key is to make it a daily habit, to train every day. I get up in the morning, first thing I do is put on my gym clothes. Why? If I put on my gym clothes, I'm going to the gym. So it's a habit. I literally get up, put on my gym clothes. So it's kind of like my mind knows, oh, what are we doing? Oh, we're going to the gym. All right, let's get ready. So it's just about creating rituals and routine.
So thank you so much, Robin. I mean, we can speak to you the whole day.
Sorry, I can't believe 45 minutes have passed. Forgive me.
I know. No, it's fine. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I was just, inspired again to just practice and apply it every single day. And I'm sure everybody that listened really got so much value from this conversation. So thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. And to all of you, may the bluebird of happiness shit all over you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Before you leave,
you,
Robin, just very briefly, as we wrap up the Coaching Hour podcast, we like to just allow you to give a chance to directly punch yourself, as it were, where we can find you on the socials, what the best ways are of interacting with you, and so on. Would you like to just share that with us?
Yes, I would. I always forget to do those things, but thank you for that, Paul. Yeah, if you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Robin Banks Live on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to find out about my next upcoming seminars, it's robinbanksmindpower.com. And it's Robin with an I because a girl is a Y. So it's Robin Banks Live and robinbanksmindpower.com. And I'd love to see you guys at one of my future seminars. And seriously, thank you for the work that you guys are doing in terms of raising consciousness on this planet. There's a beautiful quote that says, a rising tide raises all ships. And as you raise your consciousness, you raise the consciousness of the people around you. So I'm inspired by the work that you're doing, and thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Super guest today in this edition, Robin Banks. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next one.